Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are back for round two here on Sportswire Radio. Earlier, you saw me induct the first women's wrestler in our Hall of Fame, and Lydia Myers, the Amplified Wrestling Women's Champion, also the Love Drafts Ultra Violence Superstar Wrestling Champion. And you were wondering, well, where have you been? Well, I have a good explanation for that. I definitely have a very good, or maybe not so good of an explanation as to why I'm actually a little late. But our guest here is actually pretty important for a couple of reasons. Because, first of all, he is a part of one of our favorite companies around the Underground Wrestling Alliance, and they're getting ready for another big show ahead, Anniversary. We'll see it next month, and we'll certainly talk about that. We'll talk about a lot of his tag team partner, Mr. Chase Sullivan. Of course, we'll talk a lot about the Dirty South. We'll talk about his run as a Heritage Champion, a Southern Champion, and I'm going to talk with you and everybody else in the audience about something else that our guest actually owns a portion of alongside yours truly, but he's got a different end of the country with it. He's going to talk about some of those plans. He's going to talk about his journey, and a really cool thing that I think those listening and watching on Sportswire Radio are going to find out and hear about. He's actually a third-generation wrestler. Not too often we get a chance to meet somebody who's like an Orton or a Flair or a Hart and or an Inoue. And obviously, God rest our soul. Obviously, we heard the news here earlier today about one of obviously the greatest Samoan families. Unfortunately, one of them has passed away. We'll definitely talk about that, but we'll talk about the guest story that we have here in front of us, and he'll talk about maybe the former PWF and the current and everything else in between. Plus, I'm going to have a big bombshell. He's going to have a bombshell or two. It's going to be dropping bombs, and well, I thought I was the one that was going to be getting bombs dropped. Maybe it was, after all, some of the things I've said the last few weeks on Sportswire Radio, which I thought might have caught up with me a little while ago at 7-Eleven, but that's kind of the hint. I'll certainly get to that in a little while, but it is obviously long awaited that we're bringing on our guest here. After all, he was supposed to have been here a couple of times, but because after all, the scheduling is what it is, and we now want to get it right. We want to get it right for those that are listening and watching on Sportswire Radio, because after all, Summer Bash is not too far away, and Anniversary is not too far away, and a Mid-South, and when you think about the history of the Mid-South, boy, our guest knows all of it, and that's why we're going to go a little bit of a Black Label-like way in talking about that here, Ansem. Since I know that so many of his colleagues, so many of his peers, so many of his opponents have gotten that introduction, and after all, we are in prime time, the brightest lights, the biggest stage, where figuratively and literally the only platform where all wrestling matters. It is time to give our guest that introduction he's been waiting for a long time. So let's get right to it in a Tuesday night in the middle of a dirty hot summer, you might want to say, a dirty South-like summer on Sportswire Radio. So with without further ado, here on the Sports Report, number one global Crutch Show, former UWA Heritage Champion, founding member of the Dirty South. He is the new owner of the Pride Wrestling Federation's Mid-South. He is a third-generation wrestler. His name is, simply put, Tristan. My friend, how are you?
Giving me goosebumps over here, Tom.
I didn't know if I I was going to be able to make my own show, actually, because after all, I'm a little late because, well, it was kind of my own fault. I was talking with one of our listeners just now, Angela Pink in Brooklyn, New York, who always shares our shows on X, and I went to stop at my local 7-Eleven. I went to stop for one of these, and as I'm about to be rung up, I didn't think of anything, and all of a sudden, there's like 4 kids, and one of the kids goes like this to me, and I kind of took it the wrong way, and he was kind of, I don't want to say harassing. Maybe he was harassing me for some of my intro, maybe harassing me for some of the things I said on Sportswire Radio, but it was a matter of fact. It just seemed like, I don't know, I was destined to either be jumped by 4 kids or be in a police car. But actually what wound up happening was I had to wait around for about 25 or 30 minutes to leave the store. And then what wound up happening was the police came, and figuratively, literally nothing happened. They're like, okay, you can go. And they looked at the kids and nothing happened. But I thought I was going to be beat up for some of the things I've said on Sportswire Radio over the past few months. Maybe I said something about Jackson Law. Maybe I said something about Fletch. Maybe I said something about DBW. But actually, no, it was none of that. It was just unfortunate, unluck, and obviously that wasn't my luck, but obviously good to be with you. I have much better luck because I'm here right now in prime time, the brightest lights, the biggest stage, and the man that's certainly one of the founding members of Dirty South. So how are you?
I've been good, man. I'm good.
I'm good to hear. I'm glad to hear because I know I'm feeling great because now I'm here. I didn't think I'd be here, honestly. Like I said, I gave my reasons why, but as I needed that. So for those that are listening and watching, so I guess there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to unpack. I know we have Underground Wrestling Alliance talk, UWA anniversary we're getting ready for. There was a video that came out the other day. It was almost a whole bunch of nothing that came out of it. We've seen basically the landscape completely change after Final Destination 3. But I think I'm going to start off actually in going to actually a company that you own something of. You actually own something with alongside yours truly, and actually you own something called the Pride Wrestling Federation, which I own the other end of it with the likes of Omen Black and Soldier GP, but you own the portion that was owned by my buddy and everybody's buddy, Mr. Dalton Skull, of course, and Dalton did a great job with it, and he obviously used it with his BYCW, which everybody can see every week on their platform. They're killing it out there. They're crushing it, but let's talk about this thing before I put the links on the screen called the Pride Wrestling Federation Mid-South, and you being the new owner of it, and what's ahead, my friend?
Yes, sir. So what's ahead is, pretty much the gateway to what was originally for PWF.
Yep.
Here in Tennessee, when Atomic Titan first introduced PWF,
I remember it very well.
He had a phenomenal vision for what PWF could be.
He tells it to me every day on Instagram.
And he brought me in to help create that vision. Brought me in as commissioner, and when he explained that vision to me, it kind of got off track a little bit, but I want to bring that vision back to full force and kind of make it a little bit more territorial. Pardon that. I'm a very big fan of territory wrestling. I loved it growing up. NWA territories were some of my favorite shows to go to.
Absolutely.
So,
you have Mid-South in the name. I mean, Mid-South, that's obviously legendary. I mean, we also have movie with the Von Erichs, earlier, last year. So everybody talks about that. So automatically you must know a thing or two about the territories because you have Mid-South in your version.
Yeah. Grew up around, Nashville territories down here. We have NWA SAW down here in Nashville. So it's very much ingrained in me where I actually live at, NWA SAW. I went to all of their shows growing up. So it's literally part of my lifeblood. That's what I do.
When you talk about Nashville, obviously you think about the Jarretts, you think about the Lawlers, you think about just the history. Tennessee is so rich with wrestling history, and I think that's why it's so fitting. You have the Mid-South name in your version.
Yeah, and it's not... And it's one of those things, like me and Omen have actually spoke about it. Whenever everything was going on, me and him talked, and
I remember I connected you with him. Remember we spoke about this a month or so ago. Yep.
And we spoke about it, and I was telling him my vision about it, and he was just like, well, why not just do a territory system? and it was very comforting that he would mention that to me, and it was just like, that's what I was wanting to go for in the first place. So it was very fitting that he actually kind of explained my idea to me to begin with. So
Well, I think that I can tell you with Soldier and Omen, and again, I'm very hands off with this, so I tell this to people all the time. I don't know a lot necessarily, like detail for detail, but what I do know is that the general plan that they have, I think, really in a way, has that spirit of what you saw in the territories. Obviously, you'll see what's ahead. For sure, Summer Bash will be a part of it. There's a Rumble that I think a lot of people will take part in, and
oh
you'll
yeah.
see a huge focus on that. But I think even with what you and him have a lot of synergy in the sense that you guys have such a spirit and love, for this sport. And I think that that's why I'm very excited about what you're going to do. And I think the PWF is in very good hands. I think, especially with yourself alongside Omen and Soldier. And I think it's very healthy that you have that spirit of the territory. Because I think, as I know you watch a lot of these shows on Sportswire, that's kind of what we've been pushing these past several months. We have this term, all wrestling matters. And, we're trying to collaborate, open collaboration, bring companies together, bring people together. And I think a lot of that you'll see with the PWF, your version, certainly Omen and Soldier being a part of the other great companies all around us. UWA, obviously, on your end, IMF on their end, so many other companies, BYCW, Dalton's here, so many other companies that are a part of this platform. ROEW, another one. And, you think about other companies out there, Resurrection Wrestling, NEW, Underground. And, there's just so endless amount of companies. It's limitless really what we can do. And I think that, the PWF is going to be at the center of that. I have no doubt.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. I was speaking to Dalton just a few, I guess it was 2-3 days ago, and we had been talking about, just because with FCW when I was trying to launch that, it was boom after boom after boom, failure after failure after failure. I had a lot of people behind me, but it was just not the right time or not the right place, or certain things just kept happening, failure after failure after failure. And I was just like, okay, now I'm just going to stop and I'm going to focus on wrestling. And then this kind of just fell into my lap.
What did you learn from those experiences going into this? What did you learn from what you tried, and what do you think will be different now?
Patience.
I wish I had some of that about an hour ago when I was in 7-Eleven when I thought I'd be a cost. Maybe I should have just let the kid just, try to fist bump me. But, I should have learned patience. But I'm a New Yorker. We don't know patience. What can you do?
Yeah, I've definitely learned patience, and I'm a very impatient person when it comes to things. We've all got instant gratification at the reach of our phones, so it's just like, okay, I want this now.
Yeah.
But the failures and everything, that's definitely one of those, like, okay, I've got to have patience with this, because now I've got places that I can do things at, but I want my own place at the same time. I want all of this stuff to be built up on. I want, if somebody wants to come in and, just show up for a couple of, matches or so, they can. So I want some people to be able to travel down and be like, hey, we're going to do some great things here. I want the views to pop up. I want the subscribers to go up.
I'm so glad you said that, by the way, because I think that's the whole point. I think that's the whole point of collaboration. Thank you for saying that, because I feel like sometimes companies don't understand that collaboration, it actually helps all parts. Because isn't the whole goal for us is to get more subs? Isn't the goal for us to increase monetization? Isn't the goal for us to have a bigger reach? And we're all doing it for the love. We're all doing it to put our blood, sweat, and tears in there. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, of course. Like, I've got my homegrown guys, and I love focusing on them.
Oh, absolutely. And obviously I couldn't agree with you more on that. Always. That's what was so excited about,
Yeah. but like it still is one of those things where sometimes it is great to have guys like, of course, at UWA we've got Aaron Blaze coming in. God, love the guy to death.
Yep.
So he's got a following. It's great.
Oh, I mean, I just watched him in ROEW. I mean, my goodness, I'm so excited about Aaron Blaze. I mean, he's everywhere. I mean, I've seen him in other places, and I'm so happy he's in UWA, not in another company or two that he was in. That obviously it was what it was. But yeah, Aaron is just love Aaron Blaze. Love Aaron Blaze.
Yeah, I mean, I love having Blaze there. That's somebody else that I want to have on the roster if he's willing to do it. But I mean, speaking of rosters, I've already got 2 guys ready to go, rocking and rolling, and they were in the old PWF. 2 originals. I've got Sammy Slade and Cody Flores already ready to go.
Oh, the American Viper, Cody Flores. Did I just hear that name? That's a name that goes back a little bit in the Wayback Machine. Oh, boy.
Yep.
You mean to tell me that he's going to be a part of the PWF Mid-South? That we're going to see the American Viper himself, Cody Flores? I mean, we haven't seen him in a ring in a while, my friend. It's been a hot skip in a minute.
Yep. The American Viper is going to be part of PWF Mid-South, and so will Sammy Slade.
Oh, Sammy Slade right now. And you got a guy that might be one of the most dangerous talents right now in this sport, especially in the backyard and the underground circuit, especially after what he's doing with the Midwest Mafia. I mean, the Mafia right now is disintegrating before our very eyes, and him and CJ, I mean, they've got a lot of unfinished business, and you got Sammy Slade. I mean, he basically, if you don't got Buddy Murphy, he's the next best option available because he figuratively literally looks like Buddy Murphy, and I think he's got more upside in the backyard and the underground circuit, as a matter of fact, than Buddy Murphy.
Right? I mean, who can go wrong with the Blue Thunderbomb?
Listen, right now, in the mood he's in, with everything that he wants and his goals, to have him here in the PWF Mid-South, this new reboot, I mean, I think this is very exciting times. I mean, you couldn't have picked 2 better talents to start a company of. Cody Flores, everybody's been wondering, when will we see him? I have been seeing him pop up on my streams on Sportswire, I think, for about a year or so, and he's been kind of hinting, maybe I'll be back, maybe I won't be, and we've been kind of wondering when he would be back, and the fact that he's going to be here in this new PWF reboot in the Mid-South version, I mean, this is just, to me, if you aren't a wrestling fan after this, you need to be a wrestling fan. You need to tune over to the Pride Wrestling Federation YouTube page. I got some more links to put up here shortly, but I mean, this is just, I mean, you couldn't ask for 2 better people to start off a company with in Sammy Slade and the American Viper, Cody Flores.
No, you really can't. I mean, those are 2 guys that, when I was the PWF commissioner, those are 2 guys that, it was great to have them work together, not only in the ring, but to have them backstage. They were phenomenal guys to pitch things with. They were always willing to go the extra mile to get the views up, to give the fans what they wanted. So to have them on the roster is going to blow everybody out the water.
Oh, absolutely. No question about it. And I've got some links here. First of all, we're going to put them up on the visual screen before we say to a Lotus. So a whole bunch of people that are out there, but very excited about this. And, you got to be chomping at the bit. I mean, especially because you got these 2 talents, and you obviously, you have a lot of firsthand knowledge, especially with your family. 3rd generation wrestler you are. I mean, there's very few people in the yard and the underground that can say they're 3rd generation wrestler. I mean, it's almost like Tristan Taylor, that the name is almost like synonymous with the Ortons, the Harts, the Jarretts, and the Flairs. And I mean, your family in many ways in the backyard and the underground is kind of like that. I think your experience is going to really go a long way in helping, I think, get this company on its feet, I think, on your end.
It's definitely going to help out a little bit. It's one of those things. My grandfather passed away when I was 5 years old, so it was a little bit less of him not being able to show me around the ring and stuff like that. Although his tag team partner in Memphis was my landlord when I was growing up.
That's
So
really interesting in itself. I mean, that's
yeah,
really
that was it was real strange. So Mr. Green actually had a wrestling ring in his garage. So at, you know, 7, 8 years old, I was running around in a wrestling ring.
oh my God, that's like Bret Hart. Bret Hart was like born. I think
Yeah,
he said he was like 3 and he was already in a ring. It's like that's like you basically.
yeah, it was weird, but once we moved, I mean, it kind of stopped from there. But it was just one of those things that you don't forget at 7 to 8 years old.
That's wild though that you just had, this. You were born into wrestling. I mean, that's like so fascinating that you were just born into this sport. I mean, very few people can say that. And you're like born into wrestling. That's just pretty wild.
Yeah, I mean, my grandfather was his ring name was Tiny Tim Taylor.
Reminds me of Tiny Lister? Who was it? Zeus Tiny Lister. Yeah, Zeus Tiny Lister,
Yep.
who was in the No Holds Barred movie, who passed away several years ago. God rest his soul. But wonder the irony. And then also in basketball, there was Tiny Archibald, who was just from here in New
Mm-hmm.
York, and he was just a phenomenal talent. But I mean, obviously. So, what are your goals then with the PWF Mid South? What are your goals with that? Before I put up some more links to the screen.
Honestly, perform in front of a live crowd. Main goal
What's
number
that?
one.
What was the line you just said? I got cut off there.
Perform in front of a live crowd.
Well, that's maybe the best thing anybody could say here on this platform, and to be on a live crowd. And if you actually want to check out the live website here, it's really well done here. You got the PWF original in Nashville, and you got men's stuff, you got merchandise. I mean, this is really, really cool stuff. You did a great job here on the website. I almost feel like you did a better job than my website. Maybe you should have designed the Sportswire website instead of my own. What a
That
fantastic
is
job.
that is just my Threadless website. That is just
Well,
where I put the merchandise.
Well, I hope people buy some merchandise and support the cause here because you got some really great stuff here. I got a chance to look at it before we went on the air. I had a little bit of a break before I ran into figured a little bit of a break, but you got some merchandise. There's some really cool merchandise. Go check it out. And the PWF is just such a synonymous name, and it's obviously such a great history. And Atomic Titan ran it, and obviously it was Xavier Thorne and Dalton Skull, and Dalton especially kept the name alive. And you own your portion, and obviously Omen and Soldier, alongside myself, own the other portion. I think that's so fascinating. Obviously, some more merchandise here you want to check out. Just really cool stuff. And, please support Tristan, all the great things that he's doing here. Again, really, really smart mind. And let me get to a bunch of comments here because a lot of people want to say hello, and I feel like I want to get them in early in the conversation. And there's a few thoughts and prayers. And good old headshot Jake Howard, man. You've got quite a bit of history within the UWA. I'm going to definitely get to that in a little while. He says,
I
got
do.
me hyped. Oh, I'm hyped already because you know how much I love talking UWA and PWF. And, I really should have just stayed home and waited to talk about this and when it's got the big goal. That's okay. Speaking of people that you want to build around, it's Aaron Blaze, the headline, the main event, who's already, boy, what waves did he make tonight on ROEW's TV, and him and Jack Delta, that war of words. But, Aaron Blaze is just such a fascinating talent to me. I think he's really, to me, I know he's accomplished so much. I know now it's 19 companies he's a part of, but hopefully to have him in PWF and Mid-South, make it number 20. I really think that if you can get Aaron Blaze, you're getting him, in the best that is even yet to come. I really think Aaron Blaze, for all that he's accomplished, we haven't even scratched the surface with him. And I would hope to have him here. It's going to really help along because, like you said, Aaron Blaze is one of those guys like Jack Delta, like Anthony Steele, like Omen Black and Soldier GP, like D'Angelo LaFlame now, that when they go to a company, that you have to tune in. Like, I have to know when Aaron Blaze on. I want to know. I want that notification. I want that reminder. So I know that I need to watch Aaron Blaze, whether it's in his own company, YBW, or certainly in UWA and ROEW. And I would love to see what Aaron Blaze could bring to the table, especially after what I just saw him. I think that was the best thing I've ever seen him do, in his career just before. Obviously, the work in ROEW is great, and UWA, right, with that whole Heritage Championship, he's got absolutely, I think he's going to go nearly match that. But, the point is that Aaron Blaze, if he comes to PWF in this new reboot, I think that this is going to continue to launch this company to further new heights, and I hope he comes.
Me too. Like I said before, Blaze is an absolute talent. Another guy that I want there, of course, is Jake.
I would love to see the headshot Jake Cal. Oh my goodness. Can you imagine? But with your wars with him, to continue that in another promotion? Oh, baby.
Wars aside, I know that Jake can go. So
Jake can definitely go. Jake is
I
one of
would
those guys.
love-
Jake is definitely one of those guys I'm paying attention to.
I would love Jake to be part of Mid-South.
Me too. I would love Jake. I'm getting fired up already. The thought that we could have Aaron Blaze and Jake Howell and PWF Mid-South. I mean, listen, we got to start right now. Can we have a match live now on Sportswire? Can we teleport Aaron Blaze and can we teleport the headshot Jake Howell right now to get into a ring? I mean, what do I got to do to make that happen? I would love to see the push with you. Baby, to quote Keith Jackson. Whoa, Nelly. I would certainly be fine for those football fans out there, the late great Keith Jackson. But boy, that would certainly get me fired up. And there is good old Dalton Skull, and obviously Dalton Skull is my friend that I hate. And
I love you too, Dalton.
So I guess that's a good thing. That's a good thing. I love Dalton. Dalton Skull, to me, I feel like Dalton Skull could win a popularity contest in every backyard and underground wrestling circuit. He would win in a landslide. He's he's the one guy that I don't know anybody you have to almost find somebody and beg them to say anything bad about Dalton Skull. Dalton Skull is the most popular, him and Sean Jovi, the two most popular wrestlers that I know in the backyard and the underground. Everybody's when one guy comes up, oh, I don't like him, blah, blah, blah. You said this or that but no, Dalton Skull, it's everybody loves Dalton. It's almost like everybody loves Raymond. Everybody loves Dalton.
I can't say anything bad about Dalton.
See, there you go. You made my point. You just exactly made my point. That's why I love Dalton, and I hope he comes back here soon. Speaking of guys that I love so much, his name literally is Loveless, but he's definitely not Loveless on Sportswire Radio. He is also our resident DJ, the DJ Dirty White Boy himself, and he's going to be a part of Summer Bash next weekend. This weekend, he's in the great state of West Virginia wrestling at Amplified Enterprise Wrestling's Vinny Mania. It's a free show at Rocky's Pizza in West Virginia. Check it out. One of my guys, Skulls here, Skulls the Soul Hunter. Good evening, gentlemen. He's out there in California, 7:34 p.m. Eastern Time. And your tag team partner there in the Dirty South, good old Chase Sullivan. What do you want to say about Chase Sullivan? Your boy, my boy.
Chase Sullivan. So, don't know if you watched my first match in UWA.
I did, yes.
So you know this relic.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Yep.
Oh.
Goes a little bit back now. It's been almost 3 years now or something like that, right?
Almost, yeah. Almost
crazy how time flies, right? Almost like you think about it, when the time flies. I remember yesterday I was first starting covering wrestling in COVID. Actually, at the end of 2020, I interviewed a guy, Chad Parham, who was in NWA Wildside, had actually wrestled one match on TNA when they were on Fox Sports Net. He wrestled Jeff Hardy. That was my start into covering wrestling, December 2020. And then about a week or two later, I interviewed this guy, RP Davis, who's probably the biggest British independent wrestler. It was actually just at the last WWE show. He was helping AJ Styles get out of the ring. And here we are all these years later. So you never know. Time goes by way too fast. It just, Chase Sullivan's a very impressive man, and he did a lot to ET there. And I'm sure we'll talk about that later. But what did you think about that?
He did quite a bit.
He definitely
did a bit.
He definitely did a lot. He definitely did a lot of damage, and I want to put some more links up. So if you want to follow the new PWF, you can actually do that right here because it's up here, and actually I get a follow from it, so that's always good, right? So definitely want to check that out. And no, it's not canceled. It's rebooted now. And Andrew says, yes, much love for the NWA. Absolutely. I heard this conversation. I forget who it was that said to me yesterday that the NWA had some of the greatest wrestling, and some people don't even know about it. And that just shows you the magnitude of what the NWA meant. But Jake wants to say PWF Mid-South is going to go hard, especially if the headshot's there. If we got the headshot and listen, PWF Mid-South, oh, baby, like I said, let them fireworks come. Aaron wanted a pause. I don't know what the pause is for. Is it pause for him coming to PWF Mid-South, or it's pause because he just liked hearing his name so much? I have no idea. Want to say hello to Brett Anderson. Obviously, Brett is always welcome in this platform. How you doing, Brett? Good to see you, my friend. And I had to get after a promotion about them understanding the meaning all wrestling matter. Okay, clarify that for me, and I'll come back to that. But good to see you. Tristan, exclamation points. I agree. Mid-South. And
all right, so can we go back to Raven real quick?
You can say anything you want. It's your show.
All right. So if nobody, so the person that Raven is actually our PWF Mid South General Manager. That is Dimitri Green.
Oh, I see him actually. He's actually in further comments. Yep, Dimitri Green
Yep.
right here. Yep. So let's talk about our general manager here a little bit before I come back to some more comments. What can we expect from our general manager and his role and such? Very important role.
Uh, just expect the most demented little matches you can ever think of.
Mm.
I've known Dimitri Green for a long, long time. I've
Hmm.
known him for a little bit over 20 years.
Oh wow. Okay, so you have a quite a relationship here with him. That's interesting.
We have gone to war together and we have gone to war against each other.
Mm.
And let me just say that I have scars on my back from this man. So it is not fun being in the ring with him. And I know what goes on in his crazy little psychotic mind. So it's better to have him on my side than against him. So
I'm curious on this question. I know there's a lot more comments. I'm going to get to people. We're going to be joined in progress actually with the Pride Wrestling Federation YouTube page and the Promo Wrestling Federation YouTube page very shortly. Before I do that, what does he bring from his experience in A, his wars with you, but B, also his experience in wrestling that'll help him in this job as general manager? What do you think that his experiences will help in this role?
so he's got a very creative mindset. So him just being that creative and he's got a very tough love approach, with the guys. So he was a locker room leader when he trained when he was in NWA. So with the younger guys, he was he was very tough love.
With those experiences, what do you think he'll add in terms of mentoring some of the talents? Obviously, when you mention names like Sammy Slade, you mention names like Cody Flores, they've been around a little bit. But I'm imagining, obviously, you talked about also homegrown talent. So obviously, there's going to be talent that you'll develop because obviously, as
Oh
we
yeah.
all know, the original PWF, which Mr. Titan had started, was developing talent. It was developing guys that were going through the TBW obviously machine. They were starting in PWF first, and it led them to obviously go into TBW. But what do you think that he'll use, General Manager Green, and his experiences to maybe mold some of the homegrown talent that you're looking to build here in PWF Mid South?
Um, Probably the same training regimen that he got used on. So when when he did some of the training over there, he got trained by some of the veterans. Raven, he got trained with a lot of. Arn Anderson was there at some
Oh
point.
my God,
So
legends!
yeah, he got trained old school style. Like it was very very brutal. He got broke in real quick. So
Okay.
he'll probably be using that kind of mentality.
Do you think that that works more than, let's say, like when you see now people go through, like, for example, there's the WWE Performance Center where they go up and they're coddled, and people go to these schools from well-known, famous wrestlers, and it's not like it was years ago. There's stories about Stu Hart in the dungeon, or Hulk Hogan goes out and learns to be a wrestler, and his leg is broken. He's broken into, like, do you think it works more in that old school kind of disciplinary tough love, or is it like better to be that coddled baby type of teacher? I'm curious because you're a third generation wrestler, so you know almost better than anybody.
I can see it from both ends
Mm-hmm.
because you can do the coddled approach, or you can because I wasn't coddled, and I still don't get coddled when I'm training.
Oh, I figured you would have it the worst because your family was in the sport. They weren't going to let up on you. I mean,
No,
you kidding?
no, no.
I think you would have it worse than almost anybody that comes onto this platform. Yeah, there's a few guys here and there that have come on here, and Uncle's been a wrestler. I think it's is it AJ Morgan from AWL, and Christopher James, his father, is a wrestler. Yeah, I mean, there's some guys here and there that come on here and their families in the sport. Sure, but you're third generation. So it's like, I think you would have it the worst. It almost reminds me, I tried to learn to play music for a while. And my dad was a drummer. He was a very accomplished drummer. And, I learned, but I didn't learn, if that makes sense. And I felt more pressure picking up the guitar and the bass and those other instruments because my dad played at a high level, a very accomplished level. And my brother played and he kind of got it, but I didn't. My mother sang. So it was like, there was no way I'm following that. I think in some ways you probably had it more difficult than anybody else that comes because your family's, already been in this since for decades.
Yeah. So that's the way it was when I tried going to the Indies. They were just like, oh, you're a scrawny guy, but you've got it in your blood. You get it the hardest.
Figured that. Yeah.
All right, cool. No. Mm-mm. Like when they say the hardest, they mean the hardest. So it really depends on who it is and who it isn't. Like if you go, like sometimes it was easier depending on the person. Like Raven was easier to train with than Kid Cash.
Oh, I know Kid Cash. Yep, Kid Cash was TNA and the ECW very briefly. Sure, absolutely.
Yeah. Now I don't. People wouldn't look at it that way, but Kid Cash was a whole lot harder on guys than Raven was.
I don't know why, man. That's a good question. Why? Wonder why do you think that was? Why do you think he was more easier than Raven? Was it Raven because of kind of who his personality was? Was it because of just his unique, more or less, roles he's played in his career? He was a television guy, manager guy, then became this hardcore wrestler, kind of rebranded himself. What do you think it was? Was he was a guy that obviously had a bigger stage he played on than Kid Cash? Why do you think it was he was tougher to train with versus, let's say, a Kid Cash?
That I'm not sure. I just know that he was. I just know that he was an easier guy to train with than Kid Cash was.
Okay.
Now, and that's just how it was. But I can understand like the being coddled part because sometimes you do get coddled, like especially if you do get injured while training.
Sure.
But at the same time, there's people that are just like, hey, get up. Brush it off.
I don't know if it's you. As we're speaking with Tristan Taylor, of course, former UWA Heritage Champion from the Dirty South. Also, he is the owner of the Pride Wrestling Federation Mid-South, and we're joined on the Promo Wrestling Federation and the Pride Wrestling Federation YouTube pages. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice, figuratively and literally, where all wrestling matters. And please go out there and support the Pride Wrestling Federation's pages, the Mid-South, Instagram, Facebook, Threadless. Also, YouTube is our PWF page, where you can see both factions of the Pride Wrestling Federation and everything else in between. Also, if you haven't yet, hit that sub button for us on Sportswire Radio's YouTube page at Sportswire Radio 6579. If I get to 1,000 subscribers, I get a tattoo, and I'm about 250 away. So it looks like I'm inching closer to the tattoo, and we'll have to find that out. But, it's interesting. I don't know how old you are, but it might also be society. We'll get to more comments. I want to talk about UWA. I want to work that in shortly. But, I'm 33. So for me, I can remember a time growing up where it was still like, okay, there was the disciplinary, it was still kind of like there was that tough love. Whereas the world has changed, society, maybe it's a product of that. Maybe wrestling is like everywhere else. People don't really like the hazing anymore. People don't like the bullying. People look at it and also say, people's mentalities have changed. People don't come out of two-parent homes. People, come out of, we have mental health is a big deal. It's mental health month right now in the month of June. And people, look at those things. And, we didn't look at those things when I was a kid growing up 20 years ago. There was no, I don't know. Do you think it's also society why we've kind of gone away from the tough love into wrestling, which is like everywhere else? Is that a fair statement to make?
That's a fair statement because, I'm the same age as you.
So, exactly.
Yeah.
You know the deal.
So, that's a very fair assumption. Like going through, and I don't know this per se, but going from what I've read offline and everything, I think the PC down in Florida, I think they've got a mental health system now too.
Yeah, it's a big deal, man. I think since COVID, really, mental health is just like, it's everybody talks about mental health now. I really think since COVID like changed people, and looking at that, and yeah, that's a problem. And I think maybe in wrestling terms, how we train wrestlers. I mean, again, your family, a third generation, and I just think maybe that's also a part of it. And maybe having Dimitri, he'll have to try to navigate that, even though he's obviously got a lot of great experiences, but he's also going to have to deal with a newer generation of talent. I mean, I don't know. I'm just thinking about it out loud.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that we're going to end up having to trial and error.
Okay. Okay. Well, we'll find out. We have a lot more comments. I want to get to them and get a few more minutes on the PWF and come
Hey,
into
it's my cousin.
How you doing, North? How's it going, boy? Do you look like that still, or you look like a lot bigger now?
No, he is a whole lot bigger now,
Oh.
but he is a musical prodigy.
Oh wow. Well, is he related to North like in Kanye West?
No, no, God, no, no. He is my wife's cousin, and
Oh wow. Okay. Very cool.
yeah,
Very,
he
very
is.
cool.
He actually helped mix some of my earlier entrance music. So my very
Oh
first.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole big thing. We have Boneyard Productions that's out there doing some of the guys' music out there, and Resurrection and TBW. I know Jake's a musician. One of my buddies, Anthony Finkel, is a musician. He's looking to see if guys need music. And, it's so fascinating, wrestling music, how it's so important it is to your character and such. And obviously having a musician here, they certainly know better than, anybody else. And I think that's just, so cool to have him here. Let me get to some more comments. Obviously, Sammy Slade, that was the mention. Also, yes, rest in peace, Sika Inoue. Obviously, 79, I think he was. Just very sad news in the wrestling world. The Inoue family, just legendary down there. Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Skulls. I know was telling me to mention. I forgot on my first show with Lydia Myers because it was just like, I don't know, the time was kind of going a little slow, and we were trying to get through some things, and I realized maybe I should have stayed longer and did the Sika Inoue tribute. Otherwise, I wouldn't have went to 7-Eleven. But that's a different conversation for a different time. I want to say hello to some people out there in the great state of Pennsylvania. That is Mr. Big Tex. Of course, he is the big man over there in DBW. We're in Big Tex country. And how you doing, Tex? I think that was a while ago, your comments. I don't know if you're here with us, but good to see you, my friend, anyway. Taylor, though a rival in the ring, is a very smart man. Props to him. Yes, congratulations. This is, I'm really happy that you own a portion of it, because I know there's a lot that's been said about the PWF over the past several months. I think I've had a portion of the company for about 2 months. And I know before that there was a lot of talk from people. Obviously, Titan had it, and there was a lot of things that people were hoping would have been done with it, and it kind of was what it was. And Dalton obviously had a hand in it, and Xavier Thorne. I'm not going to go there with that, but I think it's good now that you have something in it. I think Omen and Soldier, their experience. You talked about live venues. The IMF run shows every month in a live venue, and they sell hundreds and hundreds of tickets. So I think your experience, their experience, I think with some of the other things that we're going to see, I'm very excited about that. Also here, Taylor is one of the best in the business. I could see it already.
Brett.
Very excited to have you here. I mean, what a great guest. I mean, sometimes you get guests, you're like, okay, moving along. Kind of unfortunate, like my guest earlier today, but this one, I'm into it. So sometimes that's not the case. But ET considers everything, of course, our general manager or commissioner in UWA. And speaking of commissioners, Tristan has worked very hard to get this running, even though I'm a rival in my post. Yes, he's a commissioner and such, but obviously very proud of him. Great mind. Yep. And
Thank you, ET.
It's going to be great working with my brother, Tristan Taylor. Once again, I agree, and I definitely support that. And past, not post. Oh, I was like, I read the post, and I was like, what was the post part? What was the post part? But okay, well, same thing. You're in a post. I mean, technically, he's a commissioner. You're an owner, so you kind of are rivals anyway. So you can read it that way. Thank you for the $1. I can't read the super chat one because I don't get the monetization yet, so I don't know what you said. But if you want to tell me what you said, PWF to the moon, I think is what you said. Yeah, I think it's going to go better than Bitcoin and my crypto accounts if you want to go with that. Zilla is our resident expert who just says hello to everybody. Yeah, but she just says every post, so that's all good.
Well, thank you.
Also, what I was talking about was a promotion that was against Pride Month, not Lions of Talent. Yeah, then that's I mean, that's obviously if it's Pride Month and the wrestlers couldn't express themselves, then they're not all wrestling matters. if it's
Yeah,
Pride Month, let them be. I mean, that's what we're here for. People should always be welcome. That's the whole point, to be inclusive. So if the company didn't do that, then yeah, they're not a part of All Wrestling Matters. As far as I'm concerned, they're not even a wrestling promotion. But that's here nor there. Unsainted, I agree with you. Everyone should be skulls should be allowed to be themselves. That's what makes life. Yes, that's the point. We don't want to discriminate against people on this
no,
platform. We want people to be here. It doesn't matter gender, race, sexual orientation, whatever you feel. You come on down. This is the Church of All Wrestling Matters, and you built it. So f them if they didn't want that. That hardness is what makes or breaks. Yeah, I think that's what we're trying to talk about here. Kid Cash, yeah, Kid Cash was, again, I remember him. He had a stint in TNA, ECW toward the end. Tennessee guy, if I'm not mistaken, right? Wasn't he from Tennessee?
yes, he is from Nashville.
I actually have one quick Kid Cash story. I remember, I think I was maybe 10, I want to say, and he did an interview here for a community college, Kingsborough Community College. He did an interview. It was a wrestling show, Saturday afternoons. I used to listen to. It was called Saturday Afternoons Main Event. And they would basically was run by 2 college students, and I would be able to get the radio frequency because I lived near the college at the time. And these kids would interviewed Kid Cash and came on. It was like really cool. I think it was Kid Cash and RVD came on not too long ago.
Yep.
I trained with Tasha Simone and Andrew the Dragon as well. Wow, some pretty big names there. Okay, well, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, so let me ask you this question. Obviously, PWF Mid-South is going to be a huge thing. When do you anticipate PWF Mid-South to be such a thing? What's your basically start with it? We know Summer Bash is coming up with Omen and Soldier. I'm going to ask you next on that. But what do you think will be when you're anticipating for this reboot to start?
So our first big show is going to be the end of Uprising. So once we finally finish the Uprising show, that's going to be the beginning of PWF Mid-South.
Okay.
That show.
I saw the cancellation post. Yep, I saw that.
Yeah, that show is going to be called Uprising Final Act. We're going to find out who is going to be the final Uprising champion. And you saw that PWF had acquired the FCW heavyweight title.
I did see that. Yes, I did.
On that show, whoever is going to be the PWF Uprising champion, we are going to unify
both titles, right?
Unify both titles, and from there we are going to crown the person, whoever is the champion at the end of that match, the first ever PWF Mid-South champion.
That's very cool. I'm really excited about that. You must be really excited to get this thing on the ground then.
Yes, I'm very excited. I'm kind of on the fence about one thing, but that's going to come later. It's a thing that's kind of I'm kind of like I'm still on the fence about it, but it's just going to have to be done the way I want it, and it's going to have to be done this way. But creatively, I think I've got to go a different way than what was originally planned. But it's going to be a good match.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that. And we're going to talk about it here on Sportswire. And we are going to be covering Pride Wrestling Federation because, after all, I mean, I own a portion of the other side of it. Let me ask you this question. I'm so curious on this, and we have the Facebook page. Please give the guys a like and a follow, because technically you're actually giving a like to me. So if you like Tristan, you're actually liking me at the same time, because I own a portion of the other company and I still have controls of the YouTube page. So actually, by liking him, you're liking Sportswire, liking me. So this is a very easy one. To me, this is easier than 1, 2, 3, ABC 1, 2, 3 to quote the Jackson 5. But let me ask you though, in terms of just like Omen and Soldier in their portion, do you see collaboration with that? Is it like, what do you see? I'm so fascinated with this. This is a question I'm just asking off the top of my head. What do you see with that? You spoke a little bit about them at the beginning, but do you see collaboration with them? Do you see like the PWF Mid-South versus the PWF version? Like, what do you see? Do you see anything at all with that? I'm just curious on that for the audience.
Oh, absolutely. Eventually there's if they want to come down, if we want to do Tennessee events, if we want to do Iowa, if I want to send people up to Iowa, vice versa. If they want to send people down here, if I want to send people up there,
That's
it's
so
one of those
cool.
things.
That's so
Yeah.
cool. Because you have like your talent and their talent, and you can see that open exchange. I mean, that's really what we've been building here. All wrestling matters, and that's just I'm so excited to hear that because they've built a great thing. Your mind, you could just, I mean, I'm so excited to speak with you. I could just feel the energy. I can feel the positive energy, and I think that's just such a great thing. And I think with Summer Bash, I'm sure you're keeping an eye on that because the PWF is obviously going to be featured heavily in that because we have this battle royal and that everybody's excited to see what happens in it. I mean, so you must be keeping an eye then on Summer Bash and the PWF and where we go from there, because obviously their champion is going to be crowned at Summer Bash.
Yes, very, very much so. Definitely keeping an eye on it. I know that they're crowning the PWF World Champion, where, of course, like it says on the screen right now, we are a YouTube wrestling territory, not a YouTube wrestling promotion.
That's so fascinating because I've heard this come up on shows on Sportswire where guys have talked about the territory. They talked about the territories coming back. They talked about all wrestling matters. And by the fact that you're establishing this as a territory, what they're doing and other people, I just think that's so fascinating. And your experience, your mind, to lead this, I just think that it's so awesome. And, I'm curious in what did you take away from some of the things that the original PWF did? All those things that we saw there. What would you take away in some of the things that were positives there to help you in terms of getting the Mid South reboot on the ground?
So definitely taking away from the positives, just the camaraderie. We definitely always had camaraderie there. Definitely, one of the best shows that we ever did was the welterweight show.
Yes, yes, yes.
And when me and Titan wrote that show, it was just one of those shows that was just everything just went.
You knew it was going to be good. You knew that there was something there.
It exploded from what I had on my clipboard to it just I don't have words because I'm so speechless of how it actually went. And that to me was that show really signified all wrestling matters because you had people from Resurrection, you had people from BYCW, you had
Right,
people from all,
GWA.
you had people from all of these different promotions,
Yep.
and it was just so much to crown this welterweight champion, and yeah, it was just. It was a phenomenal time.
It was special. It was fun. That's what it's about. The spirit of wrestling. It's that energy. And I think that's, things we hope to see come back here in this. And, let me get to some comments because a lot of people want to say hello. And I want to obviously get to some other things here with you. Also want to say hello to D'Angelo LaFlame. Now, I'm sure you'd love to have D'Angelo LaFlame in the Mid-South reboot. I know he's speaking of Resurrection Wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
Internet champion. I mean, he's everywhere. I mean, I see him coming up in Massachusetts this Friday at Riot in the Ring Round 2 against my guest tomorrow, D Savage. I've seen him in TBW. I've seen him in so many places. Alliance Wrestling. He's going to be there at Summer Bash. I even heard he was in Atlanta this past week. I mean, he's literally everywhere. He's even got a tryout for TNA Impact Wrestling coming up in NWA. I mean,
Congratulations on that, my friend. I really, really hope that it goes great for you. And I hope you get in. I really
A lot of people are rooting for him. He's the one guy when everybody, bring another guy like Dalton Skull and Sean Jovi. People smile when his name comes up. People smile on this platform. There's not everybody gets that, but when his name is brought up, people say, "I love LaFlame." People just I really think in the last 8 months, he's the one guy that's just to me, he's flourished. I mean, he's just gone up leaps and bounds, and I don't even think he's another guy. Not even scratched the surface yet. I expect so much from this young man. I was speaking to him yesterday, and I felt bad for him. He had an issue with the promoter. I don't even want to mention the guy's name, but just this guy is really real raw energy, and we're watching a memory or two of the PWFU. And the before he was Hollywood Titan or the Hardcore King, but you guys are on the trampoline. And ET's got a funny one. As easy as 1, 2, 3, ring the bell. Good point. Energy, you say. And want to say hello to one of my buddies, Mr. Scorpion, the Assassin Scorpion, was a part of a great show over this past Saturday at Total Domination 9 for our friends over in Dominant Breakout Wrestling. He knows a thing or two about collaboration. He and I were having a great conversation a couple of days ago. He always likes to remind me on certain things, and I always appreciate from hearing from guys like Scorpion because he'll tell you what's on his mind, and he doesn't care, and that's why I love guys like him. Good evening. It's great to see a home created where people can be themselves and not feel judged or outcast. Keep up the great work. Yeah, Scorpion's a veteran. When he speaks, I definitely listen on that. And interesting how Mr. Titan took that hug and I could see him looking like that, by the way. I could totally see him doing that in real life. And thank you, Scorpion, for all you do for us. And great match against, obviously, Mr. Aaron Jones. And what a bizarre outcome there. But I want to say hello to CJ. I'm coming to UWA in a few minutes. I'm transitioning next. UWA is next on the agenda. Mr. LaFlame says thank you, and he says he hasn't slept in 2 days. So maybe you could, if he comes to Mid-South, you got to promise him a bed and a place to sleep, probably.
I'll promise you a good thing of food, sleep. Got you.
Well, I hope that's the case because I know it's better than my experience. Because for those that are recapping, I literally thought I was going to get beat up out of my local 7-Eleven. But maybe that's for something I said on Sportswire. Who knows? But that's okay. Want to say hello to Mr. Omen Black. Of course, it's his show. He's the boogeyman of the Midwest. He is the DKW champion, the IMF Hardcore champion. And obviously, he's the owner of the other PWF, which I'm a part of. And he says, how's it going? What a nice conversation there.
It's definitely going great, man. It's going great.
Yeah, I'm really happy that you own a portion of it because it's always the concern sometimes in this game, like who's involved, who's not involved. And, just hearing a guy with like your passion for the sport. Yeah, I know we've gotten to know each other for a little bit, over the past several weeks, and we connected, obviously. And a credit to the UWA, and I thank Aaron Blaze for connecting us formally. And, obviously with Jake, we're going to transition to that next. But it's always good when there's people that are like us that have that passion, that really like want to go and do really well. That's why I'm really so excited about what's ahead here in the PWF. And I really hope that people join me in supporting the PWF. And yeah, I think there you go. So Dimitri Green's already on the job. He's saying recruiting D'Angelo LaFlame. See, everybody wants D'Angelo LaFlame. AWL, NEW, TBW's had him. Summer Bash has got him. They had him in Atlanta, so many other places. I got a good question, though, from obviously Mr. Black. I'm going to answer it as I know my answer, but he does ask you, who do you think will win the PWF World title if you're following? Do you have an idea? Because I have an answer for you on that.
Ooh.
I have an answer you might be surprised on. And D'Angelo said DM him, by the way. D'Angelo, I'll handle that for you after the air. I'll take care of that for you, Mr. Taylor. And it's partially, I am responsible for the PWF name, so I got you covered.
I got you. I haven't really seen who all is actually in the Rumble, but from the people that I know that are actually in it, I'm actually I don't know his name.
Well, I'm going to give you a name that I think, while you think about it, the guy that I'm watching most, especially after kind of the splash he's made over in the IMF in Iowa, is a guy, Isaiah Rage. Isaiah Rage is a guy that, he's got this really, really interesting look. He's got a great figure. He's got a lot on his mind in terms of motivation. He's a part of this group, Diamonds in the Rough, and he's got this whole thing with Mephisto and Ace Diamond. I think he's looking for gold. He's looking to obviously make a name for himself, make some headways. That's probably the guy, based on his size, his strength, his overall, I think, ring abilities, a veteran guy that's done some things in other places. I think this is kind of the way to make a mark for himself. This is kind of the way to give himself that avenue to be able to kind of put himself in a way that I think would really give him, a chance to, I think, really, really do well. And that's going to be my guy. I mean, there's obviously a lot of names, I'm sure, the usual suspects that you'll be mentioned on this platform, but I'm going to go with a guy, Isaiah Rage. Check him out. Check him out off the air. This is a guy that I think, for my money, that I actually thought about him like a week ago. I actually thought about him in the Rumble because somebody brought it up to me. This was last week. And I was like, I think that's the guy in my head that I would say would be a guy I think that could be a breakout star. One of those guys, winning something like this could really break out and really go a long way. So that's going to be my pick. And I'm watching you and Mr. Titan go at it. And we're going to transition shortly. But there is our champion, Mr. CJ himself. And I'm going to talk about the Dirty South in a few minutes while we watch this match. But yeah, that would be where I go with that. Definitely, I'm sure you'll be keeping an eye on Summer Bash in itself as well. And I think I'm very excited about Summer Bash, by the way. I really think Summer Bash is going to do a lot of great things. There's like 15 companies a part of it. It's just really, to me, it's such a cool event.
See, I watched the Rumble for to decide who was going to get their pick for the to pick their own number.
Yep.
And my mic and my headphones kept cutting in and out, and I finally fixed it. So I wasn't able to get the guy's name that won, and he is my pick, and I cannot remember his name.
Well, I can assure you that there's no doubt about it that your pick is definitely one that I think a lot of people are going to be very excited about. But I will tell you at the end of the day, that's why everybody needs to check out the IMF's YouTube page, which is at IMF Wrestling and IMF Wrestling 666, and also Iowa Midwest Federation Wrestling on Facebook for more information. DKW, which is hosting the show, it's in beautiful Bremen, Ohio. So make sure you check out Summer Bash July 5th to July 7th, and you'll find out more details. At the end of the day, I'm very excited about it. And Omen Black says his pick is Il Drago. I love Il Drago. Il Drago is a dark horse. And I got to say, Il Drago is a guy that's an up-and-coming performer. He is always here in this platform. You know what? I think that he actually would be a dark horse. If I were to say sleeper cats, that's what Rumbles do. Rumbles bring out guys that are dark horses. Rumbles bring out people. It's the best of them. So you know what? I would certainly say anybody could win. It's anybody's game, and we're going to find out at Summer Bash. We're going to take this off the screen. So we're going to take this off because I got a lot to cover with you, and I want to still get to it. So we'll take this off the screen, and thank you for that. But, okay, so obviously PWF, we'll come back to that. Obviously spent a lot of time on that tonight. I want people to follow the PWF, all the pages here right below. You can also check out the Underground Wrestling Alliance's page. I'm going to check that out very shortly for you. I have that here. But let's talk about the company where you have now made a name for yourself most, the Underground Wrestling Alliance. And obviously, they had Final Destination 3 that certainly took place, and we mentioned Sammy Slade there, and, we have Anniversary upcoming, and you've had quite a career there. We talked about Chase Sullivan and the Dirty South, and I mean, what's your feelings right now on the current landscape of the world in the Underground Wrestling Alliance? I mean, the Midwest Mafia seems to be broken up, or certainly to be almost about to be broken, and you seem to be happy about that, I'm sure. And, Chase Sullivan is doing pretty well for himself. You're happy with that. And, Sammy Slade you just mentioned. I mean, so what is your thoughts right now on the current landscape of the Underground Wrestling Alliance?
So things have changed since the Jamboree.
It's been a while since you've been on TV. That I know very well. It's been a while there.
Well, things happen.
Yeah.
Injuries happen. We all know what happened, actually. Unfortunately, I had the condition and then the concussion, so had to vacate my title. Which
you were the Heritage Champion. Yep, you were the champion, and we saw that it's in the hands of Aaron Blaze. I mean, it was in the hands of Jay Cal, the head shop, but Aaron Blaze got that championship. He's the champion right now, the Heritage Champion, Mr. Good old Aaron Blaze.
Yeah. So, and I mean, as ET said, when I'm able to come back, I do get a shot. And time's up.
Time's up. What do you mean by time's up? Rather interesting that you just said that. What does time's up mean?
So, I got the medical clearance on June 12th. I will be back in time for Anniversary.
Oh. Oh, so the doctors have said you're good to go?
I am good to go. I am cleared for in ring. However, Blaze has already got an opponent for
We were aware of that
anniversary.
because we saw last week on UWA TV, which we're going to put the link up here shortly for.
Yeah. So Blaze is safe for anniversary. However, somebody just made something a little naughty to me. Just said something. So,
And we see what you're alluding to, and we'll come back to something else that was just played on the UWA YouTube page, which I want to get your thoughts on shortly. But we see what's coming up here. And also, yeah, JX is another guy that I think would be definitely, especially after what he went through with Jack Delta and also Jason Storm and ROEW, another great name. And a lot of people will pick him. But then we see none other than
yeah,
well,
yeah. Dimitri just picked JX for it.
I think JX is right now, pound for pound, one of the best wrestlers in the circuit. That's obviously a great pick. But we're seeing this here for your championship. And how do you feel of all this? I mean, we see JD Mercer, who obviously he lives the Cincinnati Reds, and we see Aaron Blaze there. And you know, what do you see in all this here right now?
You know, Mikey, he had the shot. I respect Mikey.
Sure.
You know, JD, regardless of the issues that I've got with the Mafia, I know he's a Mafia guy.
Yep.
But he's busted his ass. So he wants the shot at Blaze right now. That's fine. The match was made before I made the announcement to come back. I'll get my shot. I'll get my title back. I'll get at least I'll get the shot at the title. You know, I've got to go through at least Blaze to get it back. If Mercer wins, then I got to go through Mercer.
Well, what do you think about Mercer and Blaze? Do you think that Mercer can usurp Blaze's Heritage champion, or do you think that Heritage title stays with Aaron Blaze? What do you think about that?
My pick for the match is going to be Blaze.
Is it because Blaze, obviously, his name and his abilities, and that's what should carry him in the match? Or why do you say that he'll retain it, which will then lead you to maybe get a crack back at it? Why do you say that?
Blaze is hungry.
For sure.
He's got something to prove after 2 years. I mean, he's even said it himself. He beat Jake, but he beat Jake at FD. But still, I feel like he's still got more to prove.
Oh, I think that Aaron Blaze is obviously stepping into a place that is more up to his. This is an environment for him where he needs to step up and show that this is why he is the main event in a headline. UWA is one of those upper tier companies, one of those upper tier promotions that, you know, Aaron Blaze has the opportunity to, you know, show to people why he has been this big name. He's this traveling guy, and, you know, he's obviously got a target on his back as well, I think.
Yeah.
Well, we'll certainly find out, and obviously we see it all unfold here, and again, Blaze and Mercer, and it's all going to come to head here at anniversary next month, and we see it more or less, and we'll take this off the screen shortly, and we see it here, and again, JD Mercer and Aaron Blaze at anniversary 3. We'll take this off and bring this back up, and I want to get your thoughts on something else in UWA, but since you talk, I'll come back to your return in a second, but what did you make of actually this video here that was played, this very brief video? I was kind of concerned about it, watching it from afar, but what did you think? I'm actually going to play the video in its entirety because the volume, it's only 10 seconds, but what did you think here of this video for those that are listening and watching?
God, that's creepy.
What did you make of that? Just nothing there. I just literally, it feels like it's holding something with that tongue. What did you think of that?
God, that's creepy. It seems familiar, but God, I really hope it's not that damn clown. I hate that freaking clown.
Well, clowns certainly do know how to make an entrance and certainly make people think. I mean, that would be, a fair point. But anything else that struck you about the video, or I guess we'll have to find out.
It's something that we're probably going to have to find out. And when it comes to that type of video, it just screams clown, and I really hope it's not.
Well, we're going to have to find out, and we're watching, obviously, your partner in the Dirty South, Chase Sullivan, and he's speaking before Anniversary 3. And, talk to me now about your tag team partner. Obviously, he's been very impressive of late, and, we saw what he did to the end of ET in his career. And just give me your impressions here of Mr. Chase Sullivan himself.
He's on a roll.
He might be the hottest wrestler right now on the roster in terms of success. And I know CJ's got the belt and CJ's only got one career loss, but I think Chase Sullivan's the guy that's really had maybe the best year of anybody, pound for pound. You might want to say it.
Chase is Chase. They don't call him the iconic Chase Sullivan for nothing.
Absolutely.
He's definitely probably the best heavyweight in UWA.
He's the first Triple Crown winner in the company's history. I mean, this is a guy that's had a lot of success, your tag team partner. I mean, you've seen it firsthand. You've seen how this young man has come up and dominated. I mean, this guy is really a rising star. I mean, ET certainly saw it firsthand, but I mean, the list of people he's put away in his career, it's a really impressive resume.
I'm on that list.
I'm aware of it.
Yeah, so I've been in the ring with him. I know exactly what he's capable of. I mean, he choked me out with a noose.
Yep.
So
in the road match. Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, I know what he's capable of. And I'm like I said with Dimitri Green, the same thing goes for him. I'm glad he's on my side. So, me and him have this agreement. If it ever comes down to us facing each other again, we fight with everything we've got. And at the end of the match, we get up and we help each other to the back. And then after
that's the but isn't that the UWA spirit? And UWA, that's what we do. We fight to the death. And, obviously after the match, we just go on and that's kind of how it's done here in this company in a way. Don't you think?
Have you ever seen me and Chase help anybody else to the back?
No.
The only other person that me and Chase have ever helped to the back is Dalton.
That's obvious in one sense, but yeah, I understand. And what do you think about him and Jay Cal, by the way, at Anniversary? What's your impressions on that?
Go for the eye.
But that's interesting. I mean, Hal obviously had this war with Blaze, came up short, and now we know what ET has meant to the Mafia, and we know that the Mafia is right now basically sputtering. We've seen Sammy Slade kind of leave the group. We saw what happened to Dalton at Final Destination 3. We don't know still the status of Dalton and what his injury was. And, CJ was here a couple of weeks ago. I'm sure you saw that. Mm-hmm. And, he said some things, and maybe Jake's mind isn't fully on his match ahead of Chase Sullivan coming up here. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's just something that, I know it's the Southern title, but it's been a tough time for the Mafia, and maybe that's going to weigh and hold down Jake a little bit. What do you think?
It might. Sometimes Jake's mind is divided.
He's got a lot on his mind. Obviously got a lot on his mind, for sure.
When I conned him into putting up the Heritage title, when I won it from him, he had a lot on his mind then, too.
For sure.
So, I mean, it's just one of those things. It's definitely it was definitely maybe a preemptive move on Jake's part, but he doesn't. I don't know if he knows the games that Chase has learned. You know,
I'm
because
not
me,
in a short time. Think about what Chase has done in his career. It's all in a short time. There's no question.
oh yeah,
You've been in this game and he's learned from you. There's no question you guys have had conversations, and it certainly helped him in terms of the success that he's had. It has to be.
oh yeah, and then, and I've learned from him too. There's tag team partners learn from each other. So
Well, that's why you guys have been so successful. That's why, obviously, you look at his resume, being the first Triple Crown winner in UWA history. You had the Heritage title. What you've done in your career. I mean, he's definitely added something. And I think now that you've told the world that you're returning to the ring and you're going to be here at Anniversary, I mean, that adds a whole new layer to the Dirty South, a whole new development that I think is going to completely change the game, and why we're so excited about Anniversary 3. And you can follow the UWA, Underground Wrestling Alliance, on YouTube, Instagram, and Threads. And you're seeing the announcement here that took place yesterday, less than 24 hours ago, Anniversary 3. And for that Southern Championship, the headset Jake Howell against No Gimmicks Needed, Chase Sullivan, the iconic Chase Sullivan. Again, I mean, this is just another banger of a match. And I mean, where do you fit in, though, now that you've returned? You've told the world you're returning. Where do you think you fit in here with all this? And you talked about the Heritage title. You're going to wait and see. But where do you see yourself in this landscape, in this new landscape with the UWA since you last were here?
well, see, this is where it gets a little tricky. See, my first match back was at Tennessee. Was at the Tennessee Turmoil,
Correct.
and I lost to CJ. I've never beaten CJ in a one-on-one match.
Well, most people have certainly come up short against him. I mean, Jack Delta did not beat CJ either. There's a lot of people that have fallen short to CJ. There is nothing to be ashamed of when it comes to falling short to CJ. He is one of the premier champions in this entire circuit. So nothing to be ashamed of there, Mr. Taylor.
Oh, I know. But I watched FD. So if he's got the balls, why doesn't he put that World Heavyweight Championship on the line against me at Anniversary?
But what about Sammy Slade? What about Sammy Slade?
Where is he?
I don't know. I asked that question to CJ. We haven't heard a thing from Sammy Slade since Final Destination 3. And now, last I checked, that was more than 30 days ago. It's been more than 30 days since Final Destination 3, and there's been nothing, no hint of Sammy Slade on any of the Underground Wrestling Alliance's social media page. I just showed you Instagram. I just showed you YouTube. I'm going to put YouTube back up. Thread, it's the same thing. Your guess is as good as mine. I tried to ask that question. I mean, I don't know.
I'll tell you, the only person that's talked to Sammy has been me.
You wait a minute. You talked to Sammy Slade?
And it was only for PWF.
But did you talk to him about UWA?
Nope. He only wanted to answer PWF stuff.
I know that you said that he's your two signees. He's one of your number one and number two picks. But you could have just maybe sent him a letter. He could have accepted that. Maybe you offered him a contract and he signed it. But you're telling the world that you had a conversation with the Sammy Slade. Is that what you're telling us right now? Live on Sportswire Radio, where Wrestling Matters?
As far as a PWF conversation, I had a one-on-one conversation with Sammy Slade with a PWF contract. And that was as far as it went.
But there was nothing to be discussed of UWA, just to confirm.
No discussions with UWA. But within that 30 days, I am the only person that has talked to him besides his wife.
I would think his wife is talking to him. Let's be honest. I certainly would think his wife is talking to him. Let's be
Yeah.
honest. I would imagine, right? Otherwise, I'm sure we wouldn't see him in a ring ever again if that's the case.
Oh,
Sure
yeah.
he doesn't want to lose his marriage. I mean, I think he
No,
knows
no.
that to be the case. But you've spoken to Sammy Slade, but again, we know nothing about his future in UWA.
No,
Nothing about it.
Nope. All I know is right at the moment.
So you're saying to me that Sammy Slade, even though I would think, have first rights to that title shot because he didn't lose in Final Destination 3. It was Dalton Skull who took the pin. So Sammy Slade would absolutely have a right at a shot at CJ, but you're saying that you should come back and get that title shot against CJ, even though you've been in the ring with CJ already and haven't beat him.
Yeah, why not? Sammy's lost to him too.
I mean, but that's up to ET. I mean, I don't mind. I wouldn't mind you wrestling him. I'm just saying in terms of the UWA perspective, do you think that ET will go for that? What do you think that'll be from?
It's ET's boy.
ET's in a very difficult position then, huh?
Yeah.
Wouldn't want to be ET, huh?
Would not want to be ET. Right now, he's got a very angry Sammy Slade, and he's got a guy that's ready and willing to come back and face the world champion on their anniversary show that does not have a world championship match.
Sounds to me like UWA's Anniversary 3 is in a lot of trouble if they can't have a match for the world title because that's the main event. Yep. So it sounds to me like you want to actually help the UWA, ironically enough, by solving a problem for them and going right into the main event against CJ.
Yep. I mean, one, it boosts my ego, but two.
When you've already been in the ring with him, and what if ET comes back and says that you're not in line for that? You shouldn't be that number one contender.
I mean,
so you should just get the title shot because there's nobody to face CJ. What do you think you've learned in order to beat CJ? Should you get that title shot at Anniversary 3?
I've been watching, the training goes as far as this. I've watched the footage of CJ. I've studied both the matches that I had with him. I studied pretty much all the matches that he's been going through. I've been training nonstop since I got cleared to get ready for the in-ring return. I have had this match in my brain for a while now. Whether he was world champion or not, I want CJ again.
Do you think that if you get him now, that this is the most vulnerable he is as champion? He's been champion for a long time, over a year now. It's officially over a year. But do you think now this is the time? We say in sports all the time, this is the moment where a team is ripe for the taking, or this is where they could be basically picked off and an upset could happen. Do you think this is the most vulnerable in his run as champion?
No.
You don't?
No. I definitely think he's a wounded animal right now, but definitely going after a wounded predator, you're definitely going to get bit.
Okay, but I obviously think that it's something we'll find out in a matter of weeks, is to confirm for those that are listening and watching on Sportzwire Radio. Tristan Taylor is now medically cleared by doctors to return to the ring. He will be returning in the ring coming up at Anniversary 3. It's the Underground Wrestling Alliance's upcoming show. It's their big show of the summer, and you need to go to the Underground Wrestling Alliance YouTube page for more information. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce. We're going to be here for about 15 or 20 more minutes with Tristan Taylor, getting you ready for all things related to the Underground Wrestling Alliance. Plus, also, he is now the owner of the Pride Wrestling Federation Mid-South, and the Mid-South is obviously rebooting, and two of those stars to sign off for, ironically enough, are Sammy Slade. Another guy is here, the American Viper. Cody Flores is here. And anything you want to say to Cody? Obviously, you're building the company around Cody, Tristan, and back to the PWF, and, Cody's in the house.
after the conversations that we had with Cody, I'm really glad to have him back in PWF. Uh, some of the greatest matches that we had in the original PWF with him
Yep.
was that last man standing match for the Uprising Championship with him and Sammy.
Yep.
And I'm just really, really looking forward to making more moments like that with Cody Flores.
And how exciting is it to bring a guy that I think has a lot to prove? Cody Flores is not, we have not seen him in the ring in a while. And I'm curious in that maybe that's also good because you've got a guy that's got a lot to prove. Like you're returning to the ring after an absence. You have a lot to prove. So should you have this match with CJ? That's very interesting. But, now you're going to see a guy like Cody Flores who has not been in the ring in a long time. And he's got a lot to prove. I think that's really a very, very interesting thing to kind of see and how he'll be able to do it in his return to the ring.
Yeah, we do have some really, really cool plans coming up. There is, of course, some other things getting the pipeline. Me and Dimitri have actually talked about this is just in the talks once we get the roster beefed up, a secondary championship. But, of course, that's just in talks right at the moment. Once the roster is beefed up a little bit, of course, who knows where everybody's going to be landing.
I was going to ask you, do you see more UWA stars potentially that could be a part of it? You mentioned Jake earlier. Obviously, Aaron's UWA. I mean, CJ is the champion. I mean, you've got Brett Anderson, JD Mercer. You're obviously tag team partner. I'm sure you have to be asking Chase Sullivan if he's going to be a part of it. There's just a lot of great talents in this company. You talked about Sammy already, but, I would have to think that you're going to certainly be asking UWA talent if they want to be a part of this.
Yeah, I'm going to be asking. I'm going to be talking with, a lot of guys just to see what, and just, put the feelers out there. But another thing that I'm going to be looking forward to is actually bringing in new guys, new talent, people that we actually.
The homegrown talent. You talked about that at the beginning of the show, trying to grow your own talent. I think is really the best policy because it allows you to build names. Obviously, you want the household names for sure, but to be able to build those talents that we know that, okay, that person is going to be here every other week or every week on the PWF Mid-South YouTube page. I think that's going to be where it's really best, and I think that's really what's most exciting. So, I mean, there's a lot of people that are just so anxious to see what you do. I think for both PWFs, I really couldn't be, more excited about what you do. And let me get to some more comments here. Chase is going to rise to great things, go to the highest of the mountains. I definitely agree with that. Also here, when you were healthy, we'll make an arrangement for you. You never lost a time. So he's going back on the heritage. We still don't know what ET thinks about what you wanted for CJ. We still don't know about that. That's a question I'm imagining we'll see on UWA TV to play out. Also here, do you need a manager?
You know me all too well.
We'll find out. Stay tuned. Certainly want to say hello to some more people. Also, our 3rd anniversary might be our biggest creation, and I thank you so much to everybody in the UWA. I can't stress enough how awesome it's been to be working with you guys. That's really thanks to Aaron Blaze, my good buddy Aaron Blaze, for connecting us, and such great people here in UWA. That's what it's about, connecting people, making new friends. And Jay Cal wants to say that he's going to put Chase Sullivan in his place at anniversary. That's a promise, but I don't know. I'm very interested to see what the Mafia is going through and all the background stuff. I don't know. I just don't know those answers. We'll have to find out. Speaking of the other Taylor, my very good buddy, the man that is my chairman emeritus in the Promo Wrestling Federation, we're live there, is James Taylor. He's the owner of ROEW, and I loved it because Aaron Blaze was a part of it. Aaron Blaze and Jack Delta, 2 guys who have been in UWA before. Two guys that have been in UWA, and maybe 2 guys that we'll see in the PWF Mid-South reboot, or maybe in the PWF the other one. You can see him in both. Who knows?
Great face-off tonight.
Oh, my goodness. That was, I think, to me, the segment of the year. I'm going to say it because Jack Delta is here Friday, and I think James Taylor is actually going to be here before Jack Delta comes on, because I think that James Taylor is going to be back, and my goodness, I mean, I am like I was going to be like Tom Cruise on Oprah. I was just ready to jump up and down to see that finally after all these years. Jack Delta and Aaron Blaze, XCW, they were just in. We knew that didn't happen. They just missed each other in UWA. But to see that, I mean, what a dream scenario. That was where finally somebody got it right. I am so excited to see Jack Delta and Aaron Blaze, more of that. And Aaron Blaze, he actually got the best of Jack Delta there. Not many people can say that right now with the run he's on, and great stuff there. And he's definitely having trouble talking about all the great things he loves in the PWF Mid-South, because we know that Tristan Taylor's a third-generation star, and he's only getting ready for more things. He's so elated to talk about everything related to PWF and UW. He's just so excited because he's here live on Sportswire Radio finally. He's fired up to talk about his UWA return. He's going to be back at Anniversary 3. He's got the PWF Mid-South reboot. He's just fired up. That's the difference here. James Taylor and Aaron Blaze are going back and forth Friday for that. And thank you for the hotel, by the way. I think he's talking about James Taylor. Like, wait a minute, I didn't provide anybody hotel. But also, I'm technically undefeated in PWO, beating Atomic Titan in my first match. Does that count in the record books? Do we count that in the record books?
It counts in the record books.
I'm going to make everybody laugh because there's a whole thing now in hockey that the Arizona Coyotes were technically deactivated but weren't going to be unactivated. But now their owner, who is Alex Morello, is not going to be going forward to put the team into a new arena. Now he gives up all the records to the NHL, and now their history is erased. So the good news with us in the PWF, the record books are not going to be erased. So if Aaron Blaze is 1-0 against Atomic Titan, that's actually going to count in the PWF record books. The Atomic Titan, my Hardcore King, is going to be upset about that, but he's here next week to talk about that, to be inducted into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame for a second time. Also, anytime Aaron Blaze, I know how to treat exceptional talent. Indiana was a big topic tonight. The good news was UWA was, I think, praised a little bit tonight. Indiana, not so much, but I'm going to be diplomatic on that because we had on Brogan O'Shea last night, and we were trying to turn over a new leaf, but people were very happy about the Jack Delta and Aaron Blaze segment. I did agree with some of the things. I'll say this much. I agree about the owner of Indiana, that company, and about how they treat people, but the rest of the roster, there's a lot of good guys there. D'Angelo the Flame is loving you tonight. I'm going to need to have a meeting with you as well, so there you go about that.
Heck yeah.
And Blaze, I want to see you in PWF Mid-South. I was curious. I wanted to ask a couple other questions before closing. First of all, what did it mean to you to be the UWA Heritage Champion? What did that mean to you in your career to be the UWA Heritage Champion?
So it was...
What did it mean to you? I know it's a tough thing to think about, right? Because it's like you put things into perspective, and being a champion, it means so many different things for so many people. I think it's just so, it's always tough to put into words, I know.
Yeah, it's because for me, I used to dwell on championships. Not so much anymore. I go by, who I'm in the ring with. Am I having a good time? Am I having fun? That's what I go by now. So if I get a championship or I get a championship opportunity, you just heard me call out CJ with the World Heavyweight Championship, but that's how I'm looking at things. But to get the Heritage Championship, it was spur of the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And it was an honor to get it, and I was ecstatic when I got home. First thing I did was I set it literally on my bed, and I just kind of just looked at it there for a little while, and I didn't really know what else to do. Like I looked at the picture of one of my best friends who passed away in 2020.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I've known him. He was basically a brother to me. So it was, when I came back to wrestling, that was one of the people that I was doing it for. So I did it for him. I did it for, I did it for my grandfather. I did it for, my uncle. I gave him a call. it was surreal is the word there. Because, some things are planned, some things aren't.
Sure.
And this was one of the things that wasn't planned.
What would it mean to you should you get the opportunity to wrestle CJ for the World Heavyweight Championship and become the UWA Heavyweight Champion? What would that mean to you should you get that opportunity at Anniversary?
If I get the opportunity, then I'm going to do everything in my power to bring the championship home so that I can prove once and for all that I belong.
Why do you say you feel you haven't belonged based off that?
I've been told a lot that I don't belong in this sport because,
With
I'm
your family history that you've been told that? That's interesting.
Yeah.
Tell me why.
Yeah, even with because I'm not the biggest guy. And that's legitimately it. Like, I mean, you can see my build in the video here,
But Titan and Blaze are obviously, they're not the biggest guys. And, nobody tells them, hey, you don't belong. Nobody
No.
told James Taylor that he can't belong. And I mean, there's a lot of guys that go out there and, they have different things.
But I mean, that's pretty much it. Like, but, this match right here, the TLC match between me and Slade, probably one of my favorite matches that I've ever done. We just had a blast doing it. And it was a great night.
If you had one or two moments in your career that stood out most, would this be one of those moments? Like, what is one or two moments in your career that stands out most?
This is one of them. Definitely this was one of the moments. The dog collar match, the round 2 between me and Slade. And then the first match that I had in UWA, because when I debuted in UWA, it wasn't planned. Dalton was supposed to be in that match. I wasn't. Dalton. So it was either one of the BYCW guys got hurt that day, and they had to leave early, or something to that nature, and I got called in to replace him, and that's how I ended up debuting for UWA. It was kind of like a
kind of luck almost. Luck had it that was to happen. It wasn't planned, and sometimes that happens in life. You just have to be right place, right time, and you were right place, right time, and I think that's kind of where it all led out to be. And we're watching the match. I have a lot of comments. Let me try to get to people here before we come up out of time here. Let me go to a few comments here. Also here, okay, James Taylor's telling people that Aaron Blaze is an ROEW. He's got bigger fish to fry than Mid-South. DKW. Darkron is here. Obviously, he's the host of Summer Bash in beautiful Bremen, Ohio, which is so fascinating because he actually lives right near a cattle farm. That's so fascinating, so cool that he lives near a cattle farm where cows are, raised, and that helps us in terms of what we eat. I don't realize that here in New York. I think that's so fascinating. I wish I could be there at Summer Bash, but for both Taylors, D'Angelo LaFlame's DMs are always open. So the good news is for you, D'Angelo LaFlame is certainly interested. Aaron Blaze wants to say 19 in regards to companies is a great number. However, there's another number that means the world to me. That being 18. I know what he's talking about there. How's it going there, Mr. Taylor? He's saying hello to both Taylors. Also, since DKW is in here, who claimed earlier I'm not great on the level of a Delta? Funny because I was standing tall over him, looking great with the ROEW World title. Ain't that something? Yeah, I don't know who that was, but I know it was not me because I'm very excited about that. Mr. Titan is here, the former PWF owner, the man that you've certainly shared a match or two with, and he says, "What's up to you?" He just says hello. So,
My hand's cramping.
Good old my Hollywood Titan, my hardcore king. I'm bowing down to my hardcore king. And James Taylor is obviously saying he wants CJ. He wants to know why you're going to beat CJ. Well, he's going to let that come out at anniversary. And also, Tomic wants to say, good Bill debut. I agree with you on that. TLC match was a classic. Absolutely agree with that as well. Okay, kid, you did the okay. I think Darkron's go with Jack Delta. I'm friends with both, so I'm gonna say stay tuned for Friday. Iron Blaze did like that. That's kind of very cool. Good to see those guys with that. Let me ask you though this question. I ask people this all the time, and now that I have you here for the first time, I want to ask you, since you're coming back to the ring here at anniversary, what are your goals for the rest of the year?
My goals for the rest of the year?
Yep.
I know most people are going to say win the world title or something along those lines. But if I don't win the world championship at anniversary, my goals for the rest of the year are tag team championships with Chase Sullivan.
He talked a little bit about that when he was here last month. Good point.
Heritage Championship. Underground Championship. And the Jamboree.
Jamboree's a good one. Jamboree. I feel like Jamboree just took place, but yet it's actually not as far as away you think. It's kind of fascinating you talked about the Jamboree.
Those are my 4 goals for this year.
And with all those things, Dirty South becomes the premier group in UWA.
Yes.
Well, I got a comment actually from somebody that I like to bring up here, and that's a guy, Michael Blackheart. You know Michael Blackheart? Because I actually happen to know him, and he says, Tristan Taylor, you're on my list as well. Name ring a bell for you?
It does.
Yeah?
It does. It does indeed. Well,
what do you think about him as a competitor? It could be an interesting name to find somewhere.
Yeah. Well, if you got a list, I've got a red book.
Oh, you have a red book there, huh? Interesting. You have a list there of books that you'd like to obviously put out there. Interesting. Are there a list of opponents that you'd like to face, or dream opponents out there that are in the discussion now that you bring that up? While we're watching.
There are.
Yeah.
There are. One being the West Memphis kid, Ronnie Brady.
Oh boy, I just had him on here 2 weeks ago, and
I know. I watched.
Oh, you did? Interesting. Very interesting there.
He's actually a friend of mine.
I love Ronnie Brady. One of the nicest guys out there. Yep.
Yeah. We were supposed to face off a long time ago, but I had some health issues and wasn't able to make it. So, but no, he's definitely on the list. A lot of the guys from the welterweight show are on that list as well. Dalton Skull is one of them. Of course, I would, anytime that I get the chance to wrestle Slade or CJ or, Jake, any of them are always welcome. Blaze is definitely on that list. Another guy is ATK. I haven't got to wrestle him.
ATK, another guy that I need to get on this platform. Another guy that I you mentioned Mr. Blackheart, by the way, and you're in luck because Mr. Blackheart's going to be on Sportswire Radio in a couple of weeks. And I'm going to ask him about this conversation that we just had. So when Mr. Blackheart is here, and as a matter of fact, he's here in 2 weeks from this Sunday. He's a big part of things, I think, over in Future Atlanta Pro Wrestling. I'm going to go ask him about what you just said tonight. So I'm going to let him respond a little bit. So you just fired a little bit of a shot there toward him. Well, he kind of started it, but you certainly put it back out there on him.
In the words of Xavier Thorne, I just threw out that warning shot.
Well, he's the psychopath now. So
I know. But still, old words.
Well, that's interesting you brought up Mr. Blackheart, and a guy that I think I'm going to be looking forward to speaking with in a couple of weeks. And I have a lot more comments because now people are really starting to get riled up a little bit, which is good on Sportswire. That's what it takes. Sometimes it takes people a while. Let me get back to a couple of things here. UWA may bring in those tag titles soon. Interesting there. Could be some tag titles on the horizon, and Dirty South would be right at the list to win them, I would think.
Mm-hmm.
You just mentioned it. Interesting there. And I think Cody Flores, the American Viper, had eyeballs, but I think he's working for PWF Mid-South unless there's something else I'm missing. And we'll see Friday if you can pin Delta. Well, that match ain't going to happen, I think, on Friday. But, I mean, Delta's going to be here Friday. And I would love for Mr. Blaze to address Mr. Delta. And I think Mr. Taylor is going to be here first on Friday. So maybe both gentlemen will be here in 2 separate times, and they'll have a lot to say. And also, yeah, Aaron Blaze is a great wrestler. I have a red book as well. I use it to write down Is that still such a thing? Is that still such a thing that we'd have GTA cheat codes? I could have probably used that when I was in 7-Eleven. For those that don't know, I was actually a little bit late because unfortunately I had my guest Lydia Myers to kick the show off tonight, and I went to go get a big gulp. And I was in the store and I was, waiting online to be rung up in the register. And there's like these 4 kids, and the one kid goes up like this to me, and I I had it out with him a little bit, and I didn't know if I was gonna get beat up or whatever. Maybe some people want me to get beat up at this point, but unfortunately, I couldn't leave the store for like 25 minutes because I didn't know if these kids were gonna like jump me out of the store or whatever. Because there's 4 of them and there's only one of me, but. That was kind of maybe where I needed a GTA cheat code of some sort. We see you walking out of there, but I don't know what the community is for about being biased. I know I'm an Aaron Blaze fan, and I'm happy he's in ROW and UWA, and I think that's a pretty good statement, right? UWA, speaking of tag titles, I like a proper opportunity at those Infinity tag titles with a real tag partner. If you have UWA branded ones, that would work too, but don't give me the Eagle, please. Don't you like the new design though that we saw in the UWA pages? I mean, I shared it on my pages. I love that new design. Did you like the new design that we saw there, or what?
For the Infinity Tag Team Championships?
The titles that were on the UWA Instagram page, just in general, the UWA.
Oh, yes.
I love that design. That design was absolutely, I couldn't agree with you, more on that. I'm very excited about that.
I love that. However, I am a little bit biased towards the NWA style design. Just because
some guys are in that, yeah. The look. Because,
yeah.
The NWA is, it's, I get it. No, I totally get it. But I just love the new design of our world championship in the UWA. And I was like, I thought that was just, that's why I shared it on my Instagram page. Check it out. Michael says the doors of future Atlanta Pro Wrestling are always open, my friend, and I'm the true face of madness. And speaking of future Atlanta Pro Wrestling, you might want to connect. Speaking of general managers for General Manager Green, we had on Mr. Hardcore, the general manager of future Atlanta Pro Wrestling on Sunday's show, and he's also a part of the legendary Global Backyard Wrestling Network. He was a part of GWC Intensity, which of course was famously run by none other than the one and only Copper Dragon, of course, everybody knows Copper Dragon. Of course, Copper Dragon. I sponsor all those videos you see of him on TikTok and Instagram. I'm a subscriber of his. I'm a paid subscriber, and I actually sponsor all those matches. So don't blame me when Mr. Dragon rates you a 4.9 or a 5.3. Take it up with him. I'm just a sponsor. But obviously, that's where Mr. Blackheart comes from. Some great talent there. Also, Taylor, you're stealing my move, Thorne. You were a great wrestler. I think he's talking about what's his face, Aaron Blaze. Thank you. Okay, I'm getting this. Okay, let me move on. I'm a Dimitri American Psycho Green fan. That's a funny one here. Hello to our friends in obviously management. Hope you're doing well. Hope you joined the interview. Thorne stole my PWF logos too before the TSC with the doing of the Georgia. Oh yes, I remember the Georgia State Classic. But there you go. Stand out my ass. Don't you want to face me at one point, Taylor versus Taylor? Would you ever want to do that, Taylor versus Taylor? Who wins? Who becomes the better Taylor, I guess, or the best Taylor? And you guys are more popular than Taylor Swift these days, but who's counting, right?
Yeah, I'll go 1-on-1 with James Taylor.
That'd be fun.
You know what? How about this? We do it at a Taylor Swift concert.
Oh, that's clever. That's clever. I mean, that's really clever there. And
promotional material.
We have to find a Taylor to be a special referee to kind of make it 3 Taylors. Is there a Taylor out there that would, and also Atomic Titan? That's a good question. Are you guys related by any chance? Are you guys related?
No.
You're not related at all, so there's no
No,
chance you guys are like distant cousins or any relatives at all? No?
no.
All right, well, I'm glad somebody wanted to ask. But speaking of dream matches, yeah, when is James Taylor coming to ROEW? I mean, that'd be interesting. Will James Taylor come to ROEW? I don't know that answer. That's up to James Taylor. I'm sure he'll talk about it on Friday's show. But we're watching the match, and people are all of a sudden tuned in now. People are fired up. It took them a while, but they're here now in the comments section, which is always a good thing. We're watching the match here, but obviously we'll
Cool.
hang out for a few minutes longer. But yeah, I love to see you wrestle a lot of these guys. I think it's but that's what really cool is about the PWF Mid South. All these things could happen here. Aaron Blaze, Michael Blackheart, James Taylor, Darkron, Jack Delta. You certainly see Aaron Blaze, Atomic Titan. They all could, come on down to Mid South. It's an open place, open collaboration. So, maybe we'll see some of this, and we'll have to find out, I suppose. We'll find out. We'll totally find out.
Yeah, definitely open collaboration. Just I'm trying to actually get an open. I'm trying to get a location for a couple of things right at the moment. I'm working real hard on it. It's just things are things are difficult.
Oh, I can imagine. Trust me. It's not easy. People think you can just, with snap, crackle, and pop, go out there and, get a ring and, get a show or a venue and get the roster set up, everybody at the right time, right place. I get it. I certainly, that's why what the guys are doing at Summer Bash, we have to support that in any way possible. Or things like the NEW Riot in the Ring, 15 promotions are a part of it. Guys like D'Angelo, the Flame, who are here are a part of it. And, Resurrection Wrestling, working with them, AWL, and, things like that need to be supported. Obviously, what you are doing, Omen and Soldier is doing, James Taylor's doing with ROEW, Titan, what he's doing, and TBW. We all got to support everybody. We all got to support each other. DKW as well, what they're doing, hosting Summer Bash. And that's, to me, what it's all about. All wrestling matters. Just give everybody that line of communication. I want to say hello to people out there on YouTube and such. But, before we get to closing thoughts here, what do you want to say to the people that, we haven't got a chance to touch upon? Is there anything else you'd like to share with the public before we move on to final thoughts and such?
I actually want to ask a question.
You can ask me a million questions. I love when people ask me questions.
What would everybody like to see from PWF Mid-South?
It's a great question. I mean, we'll let the audience maybe get a sense, and I'll take a shot at it, for a second. I think really, what I'd like to see is a mix of new talent that you get a chance to grow, see them on a journey. I'd love to be able to kind of get a sense of, learn from what the company has to offer through newer talent. I'm always a believer in, storytelling, and I like to see a lot of that. I'd like to see the ability where, you have talents come on here and then they can be showcased to do different things, and I'd also love to see the open collaboration with, different companies and, just give the people the best matches. I mean, it's just my opinion. I know it's a very general, very politically correct answer, but I just love to see things that, other places aren't offering, or maybe what they are offering. I think it's just a combination of, some of those things. I just, want to be able to see the best product possible that the fans will enjoy, because we're all doing this as a fan. So for me, some of the things I'd like to see, and hardcore matches, death matches, new talent, old talent wrestling. Yeah, I mean, hardcore and deathmatch wrestling. I mean, obviously, Atomic Titan's the hardcore king, so we'd have to obviously mention it. But no, seriously, hardcore wrestling is definitely up at the list. I've become a big fan of that. Jake Howell says junior heavyweight champion. That's a good, kind of like the welterweight class. That's a good idea.
Yeah,
it's a very good idea. I love to see, some of the smaller guys mix it up. Cody Flores comes to mind. Atomic Titan wants to say great storyline, kind of like based off me, great storytelling. Competitors from wherever, but make it make sense in a story, because anything really. I think that's really what, to me, you're seeing that in places like NEW, the Riot in the Ring. The IMF guys have done it with WCE and DKW. Resurrection Wrestling, you've seen it with them with their hardcore division. I think almost like Baskin Robbins offers 31 flavors.
Yeah.
Try to give everybody something that they can take away from and say, you know what, that's why I want to go to Mid-South. You got the guys that can go and give you those, aerial high flying skills. You got those guys like a Kato or a Mac 10, or you got those guys like yourself and Sammy Slade, brawlers. Guys can mix it up a little bit. Then you got the big draws like an Aaron Blaze, an Atomic Titan, a Jack Delta, and other guys who are great talents like a D'Angelo LaFlame, D Savage, Jake Matthews, certainly Omen Black, Soldier GP, and Sean. I mean, CJ Black, the good guy. I love to see CJ Black out there if that's a possibility. JX. I mean, there's just so many great talents in the backyard in the underground wrestling circuit. I mean, maybe have a show once a year, a big show, and let some of the best compete for, I don't know, maybe a PWF Mid-South Cup. How about like a Mid-South Cup? You never hear about cups in wrestling. How about a cup? I mean, AEW is kind of doing something with the Owen Hart Memorial, but maybe something like that, just to get like wrestlers from different places compete in a tournament. Almost think like if you're a racing fan and you have like a tournament of the best racers from all over the world. I mean, I would definitely say some of those things. There's so many things, honestly. Yeah, I mean, I agree with General Manager Green. Cruiserweight matches, things like that.
Okay.
Tristan put through hell. I don't know if I want to put him through hell. I mean, let's see. I mean, maybe some other people want to go through hell. But, he's going through hell right now. But yeah, I think, what? Let the people decide. Maybe do a poll. And I want to offer here before we go on to get the closing thoughts. I want the guys to be here on Sportswire anytime. I want all the guys to come on here if that want to talk and want to talk about the product. Because obviously, in a way, I have, obviously a responsibility to support it, and I obviously believe in what you guys are doing. We've had a great relationship. It's great to be working together. I have a great relationship with the guys in, Underground Wrestling Alliance. I can't thank enough Aaron for his friendship, Jake, Hal, all the guys that have come on here, ROEW's here in the house, DKW. And, I want to, put that open collaboration here. Anytime you guys want to promote something, and I'm a partner. I'm here. I'm willing to be a part of that. This is the church of all wrestling matters. I mean, this is what it's about. We're in prime time and everything else, and we'll see what happens. I mean, let's as we always say, a rising tide lifts all boats, and I have no doubt that you're going to do that. You're going to do some great things here with the PWF, the Mid-South, and to confirm here before we get to closing thoughts, one more time, Underground Wrestling Alliance, Facebook, Threads, and Instagram. Also, that is Tristan Taylor's Instagram and Threads. So if you want to talk to him about anything related to UWA, anything related to PWF Mid-South, those are his links. Go out and support this man. Also, if you want to support the PWF, the Mid-South version, please support them. This is all their links here. You got Threadless for merchandise, Facebook page, Instagram. Check it all out. Go and support them. This is truly about all wrestling matters. And this is a company I actually own a portion of in the other venture. So technically, we're on the same side. We're teammates. We're label mates. We have to support each other. He's a great friend. He's a great guy. You can tell the enthusiasm with this guy. He's a third-generation wrestler. And I want to make sure he wins and succeeds. Let's do it here. Have Sportswire live. I would love to be live. I mean, I would just love to. I mean, so many people ask me those things. Yeah, I know I've been getting that. Omen and Soldier have asked me to come to Summer Bash, and unfortunately, I'm in New York City, and I don't have the way to get here this year, but I would love to do it. Yeah, if there's a will and a way,
That's actually something that, it doesn't even have to be actually at a live venue. We could actually do something to this setup. We could actually have like a what's it called, like a live interview this way on like a live on YouTube as well.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, 1,000%. That, trust me, I think people love that. My YouTube numbers are through the roof right now, so I would love to do that. But I got breaking news here. Before we go, I actually have one more thing I want to put up on the screen. It's actually literally breaking news, and management gave me this just now, so I have to put this up because J. Cal has been incensed. He has heard enough from Chase Sullivan. I want to put this up on the screen before we say sayonara. He has asked me from management to put this up. Here we go. So let's put it up here before the
That's that one little post. I got something to fight. I have someone to fight. I'm going to get on that just a little bit later. Last time I had something to say, I mentioned redemption. And I asked you people the question, what is redemption? And I said then and there, with God watching me, I said redemption is not championship titles. It is not places that you travel to. It is not how you look or how you act. It is how you pick yourself back up after failure, to wipe yourself down and you keep going. And I mean that from the bottom of my very soul. But quite frankly, and this has been going on for a little while, so I'm going to use this platform I have. Let's talk about something else. There ain't nobody else like me. Not one person that is like me. You may think that you know me. You may think that when you see me on these screens or in that wrestling ring, you think that you know me, but you don't really know me at all. So you think that you know Jake Howell. It's a funny thing. It's because you will never know me. You can criticize me and you can hate me. I welcome the hatred. You want to know why? I'll tell you why. Because I would much rather be hated and wished death upon for being myself than be loved for being a fraudulent hypocrite. And speaking of fraudulent hypocrites, I bring you to my next thing, Chase Sullivan. Listen up, Sullivan. For years and years now, you've been tooting your horn about how good you are and how good your Dirty South team are. Well, it's time to put up or shut up and time to pay the piper. You've been running amok. You've been knocking people out with them knuckle dusters. Boy, I'm not coming there with knuckle dusters. I don't need one single weapon to beat you. Because there's one thing on my mind right now, and it's not just whooping your ass. It's the Southern Heavyweight Championship. I have never competed for that championship. I've never won that championship, but I damn sure can. Chase Sullivan, it's the third anniversary of UWA, the third year in a row that we've been a company. Everything we have built, everything we have done, every sacrifice we have made, every struggle that we have been through, and you put all of that to shame with your actions. So Chase Sullivan, at anniversary number 3, it's put up or shut up. Meet me in that ring, not to wrestle, not to trade holds, not to wow the crowd. I'm coming for a fight. And best believe one thing, when you step in the ring with the headshot Jake Howell, it's DOA, headshot, you're done. New Southern Heavyweight Champion.
Oh, boy, shots have been fired to end the show tonight. Chase Sullivan and Jake Howell, you know that Jake Howell is coming back to Sportswire Radio before anniversary. Boy, that was some barbs thrown. I think Jake Howell heard enough about what you said. He heard enough about everything Chase Sullivan said a few days ago, and boy, you can tell these guys do not like each other. This is going to be personal, and I can't wait to see this match on the Underground Wrestling Alliance's YouTube page. This just got personal. DOA headshot. Boy, you know what? Dead on arrival headshot. Chase Sullivan has certainly had quite a run. He might have the year of 2024 of anybody in UWA, but Jake Howell he's incensed.
He's incensed. Yeah, he's incensed. But on that note, sorry. In the words of my best friend Chase, sorry about your damn luck.
Ooh, I tell you what, I can't wait to cover this. Again, Underground Wrestling Alliance, YouTube, Instagram, Threads. You will see more from it, and this is going to be personal. And I know Jake Howell is going to be back on Sportswire Radio before Anniversary 3, and we're going to have a lot to talk about because Jake Howell is in a bad, bad mood, a mood that I would not want to be in the middle of his. And Chase Sullivan has been on a run. You a Dirty South partner, but we'll have to find out here for sure. And yeah, I would be willing to do that if there's a way you want to connect. We can certainly do a recap show maybe after one of the nights. Yeah, we can definitely get some guys on here on Sportswire if you want to do that. Yeah, let me know. Message me. I should be around Saturday night. You know, you want to do something night 2 or something like that. Yeah, we could have a couple of guys come on the show. Yeah, it's totally fine. We could definitely put something up. I should be good for night 2 if you want to do something. So let me know about that. We'll go from there. And I think that's how I'm going to end the show because Jake Howell left us with a cliffhanger. I mean, that's quite a way to end. We started the show with a bang, and we ended the show with a bang. Figuratively, with a headshot. Boy, Chase Sullivan, you know is going to be responding about that boy. So I tell you what.
He took the spotlight off of me real quick, didn't he?
Well, you know what? Forget about we saw and heard the first 2 hours. Forget about whatever because, you know, this just got real interesting. But to recap before we sign off here, Tristan Taylor, new owner, PWF Mid-South. Stay tuned for more details. PWF Mid-South pages, Facebook, Instagram, Threadless.com for merchandise. First 2 wrestlers signed officially, the American Viper, Cody Flores, and Sammy Slade, who we still have not heard from in UWA what his future is. Also, Tristan Taylor is medically cleared to return to the ring as of last week. He'll be back at Anniversary. Stay tuned for more details. Underground Wrestling Alliance's YouTube page. It has been such a lot of fun, my friend. I cannot wait till you see the PWF, what you have in store with the Mid-South reboot. And I can't wait to bring you back on Sportswire Radio. I can't wait to collaborate with you. I can't wait to bring some guys on to talk about this. And I am just so ecstatic, and I'm so happy you have a part of this company. Congratulations, my friend. So happy we're working together. So happy we're label mates, we're partners, and that's
Yes,
what it's all
sir.
about. Really, I couldn't ask for a better person to own the other portion of the PWF, and I want to turn it over to you, my friend. I want to pass the baton. I want to give you some closing thoughts and anything else you'd like to plug, share, or say, and the floor is absolutely yours.
First off, with any new signing, I will be posting on the Instagram page. There will be a picture of
And
them.
tag me, by the way. Put me in as a collaborator. You want to do that? Absolutely. I tell Jake all the time, put me in as a collaborator. Feel free. I will share because guys know I am very happy to share. And, obviously, I have still controls of the YouTube page. So please do feel free to put me in as a collaborator.
Of course. Also, anytime I get new content on the store, I will also be posting that, and I will be putting that on for you as collaboration as well.
Yes, tag me on Facebook, tag me on Threads, whatever it is. Please put me on a collaborator. I share anytime. Justin Parsley puts me on as a collaborator. Jake does. AWL and Hillbilly Tilly and ADT do it all the time. So believe me, I'm happy to be a collaborator. I'm here. I'm on the same team. So if I can get it out, I have 1,500 plus followers on Instagram. There's not many people that have more followers on Instagram that I have on this community. So I will share. So feel free.
Yeah, and if anybody wants to buy any of the merchandise, please do. One, it's going to help, not only me, but the rest of the PWF crew. Of course.
I got you covered on that. I got you.
It's going to help Tom. It's going to help Omen. It's going to help Soldier.
Well, help Omen and Soldier. My finances don't need to be helped, but the rest of you guys can be helped. Justin.
Well, it's going to help all of PWF.
Absolutely, yes. For the general point, yes. Obviously, it takes a lot to put this together. I know Omen, we bought the belt. I mean, obviously, I helped a little bit with that. Obviously, Sean Jovi, we helped out with the All Wrestling Marathon and Son of Ash. I know.
Oh yeah.
It costs a lot, and I know that if you buy a shirt, it helps the guys in the general fund for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Sure.
So helping that out, helping the crew out, helping everybody out like that, that's definitely going to help. Just supporting all of us is going to be a great help for everybody. I want to thank everybody for coming in here and, watching the show.
You had a great turnout tonight. A lot of people were here all night.
I want to thank Tom. Thank you for having me on the show tonight.
Anytime.
So, I guess I don't know how we want to go off except for
we're gonna go off and say, listen, man, anytime you're welcome, let me know. Obviously, let's definitely have you on. I know the rest of the UWA guys are coming back here. I know Aaron is coming back. Aaron has been chopping at the bit. He's one of my closest friends, obviously. Jake is coming back here. Jake and I, I'm really happy to work with him. I'm happy to work with everybody in the community, and I really want to give that platform to people. And I think that, I'm sure that when you come back at anniversary, we'll have something to talk about. Chase has been here, and a lot of the guys have been here, and I can't thank them enough. And I can't thank enough everybody here in the community that's really been supporting Sportswire, coming here. We've just had so many great guests over the past few months, and I think we have like 6,000 views on YouTube alone just this month. So people are just like, they're hungry, they want change, and I think we're going to give it. You heard so much change, my voice almost hurts right now. In fact, I was getting beat up almost to come here because that's how excited I am. But that's okay. We'll let it. It's all good. It'll all be water under the bridge. And I want to thank my friend Angela on Twitter who shared the show. She's always calling me and telling me what I should be doing and what I'm doing on the show. And I want to thank her for her support. All my supporters out there. We're almost at 750 subscribers on YouTube, and we're going to get to 1,000. We're going to get to the PWF. We're almost at 600, so we're building up. I think when I got involved in the company, we were like at 480. Now we're at like 570, so we're working our way up there. So thank you so much, my friend, for all of your support. One more time, this is your social media, which I want to put up for the audience so they can see it. Hit that sub button for us for the UWA's pages. Hit that sub button for us with the PWF pages. And congratulations, my friend, on taking the reins over in the other part of the PWF. It's in good hands. Your resume, your family history. Don't listen to what anybody. You definitely belong in this sport. You've got my support, and I'll do anything I can to help in my humanly possible power is able to allow me to. And I have no doubt you're going to be here. And congratulations to Sammy and Cody for being the two first member signed in the roster. And I look forward to seeing you back in the ring next month at Anniversary 3 and what you and Dimitri Green are going to do with Mid-South here in the Pride Wrestling Federation.
Thank you, sir. And once again, all wrestling matters. And see you next time.
Amen to that. Absolutely couldn't agree more. And that is, of course, the owner of the Pride Wrestling Federation Mid-South. He is none other than the Underground Wrestling Alliance's superstar. He is from, obviously, the Dirty South. He is the former Heritage Champion of the world there. He is none other than, of course, the Black Label himself, Tristan Taylor. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice figuratively in the neighborhood. All Wrestling Matters. If you're on Sportswire Radio, you're going back to your regular programming. I'll be here at 9 o'clock tomorrow with D Savage from NEW's Underground Wrestling. He was their champion for 2 minutes and 36 seconds, but he's wrestling D'Angelo LaFleur. I know it's a funny story. He's going to basically kill me for saying it, but he's going to be here tomorrow night, 9 o'clock, but Friday night, he's wrestling D'Angelo LaFlame in round 2 of the tournament, so definitely check that out and more. But if you're on YouTube, Twitch, X, and LinkedIn, thank you so much for your support. Thank you over on the PWF Extra YouTube page, the PWF Promo Wrestling Federation page that I own also for those that are out there tuning in. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, on the number one, the global radio station that is Sportswire Radio, where all wrestling matters. And please support the PWF one more time on the Mid-South Facebook, Instagram, Threadless, and also check them out anywhere